with Joel meeting us too. So I'm just going to fill the last question with Adrian. You've already told me how your weekend was, but maybe the others as well.
Yeah, so I just sort of went out and tried this new Indian place, which is really good. Just went out for drinks as well. Other than that, it was a pretty chilled weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Are you an Indian fan? Did you have any red with that?
No, I didn't. I don't usually like to drink red when I drink having some spicy food.
Right. Yeah, beer goes better, I think. So how about you, Joel?
On the weekend, yeah, no, it was pretty good. Went out for Mrs. So on the Sunday we had our anniversary, so went out and did basketball place in Melbourne called Club. It's called Ballers in Chinatown, which is basically ping pong, darts, all that sort of stuff. So it was really cool. So I just went there and did it all day. So it's a pretty good weekend.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, well, thanks for joining us today, Joel. Really appreciate it. And I think we've already done. I'm sure the crew's already had a bit of a stalk at you to have a look at your LinkedIn profile and that sort of stuff. But we really look forward to hearing you share with us, and we really appreciate you. You joining us this morning, which is it's a regular Monday for us, but we always like to have it where we've got some other people can incite some knowledge and wisdom into, and we can share with them as well. So it's great. Really appreciate it.
No dramas.
I think it might be you, Joel. You might have a bit of background on just your thing. So maybe when you're not talking, if you wouldn't mind, maybe just maybe mute on that, or I don't know. Could be wrong. If that's okay. Oh, look, this is where me and Adrian normally do get to the point where we've gone through the slides. This morning we didn't do that, Adrian. We didn't quite get there. And I also didn't get you to give Emily a forewarning. Is it Emily's turn, or whose turn is it this week? Or has Emily had her turn?
I was the first one.
Ah, okay. Well, maybe given we haven't put anybody on notice, then maybe I'll just have to be my turn. And we've got Joel today anyway. So let's just whiz through this little part. Joel, we like to acknowledge that we're on the traditional lands of the Kulin Nation, and we offer our respects to the owners of these lands, and through them to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples past and present. So the layout of today is that we have a bit of a chat with one another, do a little bit of open networking. In fact, because you're in the room, we've sort of started the meeting probably faster than normal. Everybody else is probably thinking, what the heck, it's not 10:30 yet. Anyway, we'll get on through. We normally talk around sort of learning. The learning stuff that we do is around sort of systems, networks, and services, right? So in terms of the stuff that we do, that's kind of important. Presentation, you're okay to speak with us for sort of 10 minutes or so today, Joel? Would that be okay? Awesome. And then the marketers are going to give a bit of an intro. We just talk about the week ahead and the things that we're sort of looking for, the people we're looking to meet with. And as it turns out, we've sort of flipped the presentation, so we'll look a little bit different today because of yourself being with us. You're welcome to stick around sort of after the marketers. We get to a point where we do a little bit of a stretch. You can stick around where we talk about some training stuff, or you can get on with your day, which I'm sure is always pretty full on, given the amount of hats that you appear to wear when I watch you on online. All right, given it is my turn, so our mission at Dify Social is to protect, build, and grow businesses, and our purpose is to gain competitive advantages to attract and retain more customers. So basically, our overriding, if you like, Joel, philosophy is to have fun and do good. We like to think that by doing social media marketing and Facebook advertising for small businesses, it enables us not only to do good with and for them, but also around the globe as well. And we're part of the B1G1 sort of community, and so we give a little bit back to other charitable things, which we've sort of identified around the room. So one of those is .com Mob, which is Indigenous learning and training, which is pretty close to my heart. I'm married to, my wife is Vietnamese, so we also give to Blue Dragon, which is in Vietnam, and sort of helps stop slavery, that sort of thing, and child trafficking. So they're doing some fantastic work, Australian guy. Also, we've got Hannah is now providing Marmite sandwiches in South Africa, which is pretty awesome. And so that's who knew that Marmite was actually so good, apparently. And I don't know, there must be a UK that's doing that. I don't know why Marmite got the gig instead of Vegemite. And then the other thing that we're doing is some rainforest in Queensland, which Ben's sort of chosen as his organisation to support. And clearly we sort of buy into this B&I givers gain. So we're quite involved in small business networking in terms of how we, who we move with and who we typically network with. So as far as our objectives, we have a long and short tail, but ultimately we find that we're reverse briefing with the people we work with, and that's to tell them that the first thing we do is set up and revise their social media channels to make sure we build some equity in their brand on social media. We want them to differentiate themselves from their competitors. We want them to be top of mind with their prospects, and ultimately, if they don't increase business opportunities, they probably won't stick with us. So ultimately, that's what it's all about. We do put all our pricing on the website, and we do actually now offer the digital currency coin, which is a little bit unique. So, but yeah, there's no smoke and mirrors with our pricing or our services. And we use a particular model. You might be interested in this, Joel, in terms of some of the stuff, and it'd be good to get your feedback. But realistically, what marketers call marketing, businesses just call business. But we call this our small business / marketing house. And we know that social media sort of sits up the top there. Might make that anyway. Sits up the top. No amount of social media is often going to make a business that doesn't have good strategy, good marketing, much better. In fact, we could well make them fail faster. But so it's really important that they know their customers, and we know their customers, that they have a good offer, a competitive offer, and something that often makes them unique, right? So, and we talk about content marketing being the written word and the imagery, whether that's video imagery and or still imagery. So what you look like and what you say. People often in our world, Joel, tend to get a little bit confused around personal branding and business social media marketing or marketing. And so we just make sure that they're aware that, yes, we'll make sure that you're all-star and the best representative of your business on LinkedIn, but we're not about doing your personal marketing. We're about business social media marketing. Once social media came along, all of a sudden B2B, B2C, no longer such a big deal. It's more about people to people, right? And so people can tell other people about you. People can, whether that's good or bad. We know that we sort of, our network is far bigger than just our prospects and our clients. But that said, our prospects most likely look like our current customers, and we want to make sure that we're doing our social media marketing better than their rivals, ultimately. We use a repurposing strategy, so we tell people to put all their marketing on their website, or all their information, their education, their testimony, their blogs on the website, and then we repurpose that particularly to these 4 networking sites. But we have also set up the Google My Business and YouTube channels, and we do post to Google on occasion. And then what we do know is less than 13% have a social media marketing strategy. This is a model, and this is a strategy that they can consider as a strategy. But ultimately, the 50% of businesses that do have a Facebook page, less than 30% have ever advertised. And realistically, if you don't have a Facebook page in the first place and or you're not promoting, then you're probably not going to take the full advantages of social media marketing. And then, as I mentioned before, ultimately, there's a cost to set up right in the first place and do a planning session, and then we have ongoing management, and then we can work out return on investment and whether or not people are getting that return on investment. So, so that's important. I might actually ask, is that something you've seen that sort of model before, Joel?
Yeah, I think I've seen the slide before, and I've pulled it up and had a look before.
So. Oh, you have? Oh, cool. Yeah. Thanks for that. Awesome. You got any feedback or questions on that?
I think it's good. It's great. It's probably pretty understandable for a small business, so it's a good little tool you can use.
Yeah, you're right. It's a nice way, we think, of being able to speak to the small business owner and put it into an educative. A lot of our, we do have a high-end sort of education around what we have to do with people. And so, because often they hear digital, they hear social, online, and it all merges. And so it's a nice way of us sort of saying, look, we're talking about these 6 social media sites and advertising. And it sort of helps put it together for us, but also for them, I think. Cool. And ultimately, what we're getting better at doing is just explaining to people what return on investment looks like. So ultimately, it's about sorry for the size of this slide; it's a bit small, but realistically, it's about eyeballs, engagement, and traffic, right? So we know that for a minimal spend, and we use ourselves as an example, right? So this is just, in fact, we're a bit lower, but last month or last 28 days, 45,000 people seeing our post, over 340 engagements. On Instagram, then we've got similarly, over 3,000 people reach just for a minimal ad spend, right? But it's important to see what's happening around tracking pixels back to website, that sort of thing. We try and remind people that it's not just Facebook, right? So we're now getting greater organic reach on our LinkedIn than we do on Facebook. So over 2,000 people seeing our LinkedIn post last month. Twitter lets everything through the keeper, but again, over almost 2,500 people seeing posts through to Twitter. And then in terms of insights, we're getting somewhere in the view or the vicinity of sort of 7,000-8,000 in terms of looking us up. And then we know YouTube, we're not really measuring, we are measuring, but we're not doing a lot on there to promote extra vision there. But we had sort of just over 64 people come into our YouTube channel, which is pretty light on, to be fair. But those other ones are, we think, quite impressive for a nominal sort of management and spend. Cool. We probably won't talk about this until later, maybe, guys, but everybody's now locked and loaded. So, Joel, we're, as I said, we're all part of BNI now. I'm part of BNI Thrive, which is in Docklands. Adrian, we're all online actually in Melbourne at the moment, but normally we have been in Carlton for BNI Yarra. Business builders are out sort of Camberwell, Hawthorne way, but moving to Kooyong Tennis Club, which is pretty cool because Anthony's uncle coaches there. And then we've got Hannah and Emily are both up in Brisbane. I don't know how well you know the lay of the land up there. I certainly don't know it as well as Hannah and Emily do. So I won't. But Red, what is it? It's Kangaroo Point is your one, Hannah? Where's Kangaroo Point in the directional things of Brisbane?
It's sort of just south of the city. You just cross a bridge from the city, and it's right there. So very central.
And Emily, your one with Oasis, whereabouts are you?
Oasis is just in the middle. It's in Spring Hill.
Yep. Okay. So
right in the middle of the
city. Yep. And Ben is based in the Swan Valley, which has just had a lot of members affected by the fires over there, right, Ben?
Yeah. So we had a couple of members evacuated, and but it's all well and good now. It's all back and fine. We're now just dealing with thunderstorms. It's dandy. It's just dandy over here at the moment.
Have you spent much time around Australia, Joel? Done much, the different cities much?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit,
yeah. So just with Perth, so as I said, I was a former Perth boy. So Ben's north of the river, but he's actually then going across to the Swan Valley, which is sort of your eastern suburbs. But Perth's a very north-south type city, right? I was always south of the river, but my parents are kind of in Ben's neck of the woods nowadays. Cool. All right. We just like to do a bit of a spruik. So this was the best winning last week, I think, was you guys might have seen this on the post, but Awards Australia lost their Facebook page, Joel, because they're sponsored by 7 News. So it wasn't till the Wednesday. So 5 days after Facebook pulled all the pages, Awards Australia finally went down after we'd been advertising it. But anyway, we managed to get it back up, and we also got these couple of things from the 2 representatives. So Annette just said, from Awards Australia, can highly recommend Steve and the Dify social team. The results we are seeing are really impressive, and they went out of their way to get us back online, which was unexpected but thoroughly appreciated. And their prizes are super reasonable too. That's nice. And great work, Dify social team. Thanks for getting our page back up so quickly. Unreal stuff. So that was pretty cool, Hannah. Pretty happy about that.
Yeah, that was great. We got that back up straight away, and the ads never went off.
Yeah, that was the amazing thing, right? So the ads kept running. So the insights still look good. The other thing is we actually recorded the chat. So we've actually got that. We'll put that on. So you guys are all on the YouTube channel now. If you do want to see how that chat went through and how that happened, you can always, only 5 minutes, but it turned out to be quite effective. Given Australia and Facebook at the moment, there was a very sort of sequential way that you could go about it. So it was actually probably quite easy compared to normal where you've got an issue. But we just followed the similar process to normal. Sweet. All right, so we got some special guests. We've clearly got Joel today. We've got David in a couple of weeks' time. And we've got, I think, do we hear from your man too, Ben, in terms of next week maybe?
I'm going to ask him this week when I go to BNI and see if he is going to come down.
Yeah, Philip Mancini, yeah? Sweet. Okay. Oh, jump back to the wrong thing. This is my slide for you, Joel. I was thinking often I'll put a few things in there, but in the end I thought, no, I'm just going to go LinkedIn and let Joel flesh it out. Are you happy for? We probably don't even need the slide up there, but are you happy just to share with a little bit now?
Yeah, sure. No worries. Do we go across the gains thing you sent me, sort of, or do we need to talk?
Yeah. Well, look, you can use that as a bit of a something you know to work off. But yeah, however you feel comfortable, we're just thankful for you being with us.
No worries. Well, yes, thanks for having me on. And so, if you guys have looked up Jim's Group sort of stuff and on various social channels, you can sort of see what we do and sort of what I do. You know, I sort of fell into the role. I've been at Jim's head office for around 10 years, and I sort of started as a two-day a week casual law clerk, actually. So it was my first job moving up from Warrnambool up into Melbourne to do my law commerce degree. So I sort of fell into it. I had a mate who worked out here and recommended me come out here. And so, you know, I'm originally from Perth though, but have lived between Perth and Warrnambool. But yeah, it was an interesting place to start working at, and obviously being here for 10 years, I obviously enjoy it. But you know, working with Jim's there is a Jim. He's a real person. If you watch our stuff, you'll see him there. And if you followed the lockdown in Victoria, you would have seen him all over the place and the letters and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, I've got a pretty good relationship with Jim after 10 years. You know, he's not an easy person to work with, but most successful entrepreneurs, I don't know if you've had much to do with really like these sort of types of people. They've got a very, very, very strong, very dominant, sort of very impatient personality. And I've sort of learned over the years to sort of work for Jim. It's mainly the reason why I do all the content with him. So we do like a podcast and live streams and stuff like that. It's probably because I'm the only person in the office and he probably knows how to work with him and play off him and let him go. So, but yeah, like my role now basically shifted. You know, we used to do the insurance brokerage here. So I was an insurance broker for a bit for Jim's insurance. And then I ended up doing our documents and legal department, was head of that for a bit. And then basically I sort of fell into our web sort of stuff and our digital social stuff in the last 2 years, just because we were engaging a company who basically didn't do nothing with it. And I sort of thought, let's try and build the brand up, because the plan was basically our brand was always Jim's Mowing. Everyone knew Jim's Mowing. Then you go, you know, Jim's this. So the plan of the last 2 years is sort of try to be really build up the Jim's brand or Jim's Group as a brand, as opposed to Jim's Mowing and all the other siloed divisions first. So, you know, the way we've done that basically is by using Jim as trying to get him as much as possible out there. By various methods, by Facebook, YouTube, you know, podcasts, all that sort of stuff, to try and make a bit more awareness around him. And when the lockdown sort of hit, journalists had all those materials to work with, and they researched a bit and got all these TV opportunities out of it. So, you know, he was on Sunrise 3 times, Today Show I think 3 or 4 times, all that sort of stuff. So the stuff that the groundwork we sort of put in the last 2 years, we've put in a lot of stuff online.
I didn't introduce you properly either, Joel, because I probably should have said to you, you know, here's the 30 seconds. But one thing that is top of mind, the first time I heard of Joel Kleber, I was actually getting Jim signing a franchise book, right? And I was saying to Jim, I'm doing this social media program with Franchise Simply, and he goes, my guy is the best in the business. You should speak to Joel over there, right? So this was Jim saying, I don't need to know anything about you. I've already got this guy, and this guy's the bomb, right? So that would have been the best. That's the best introduction you could get, because that's what Jim's words were exactly to me, right? And I remember going, okay, that's a bit flattening, but anyway, he did sign my book.
Yeah, well, well, you always got to be on your toes, you know, because Jim's very accessible, and you always get marketing companies directly going, we can do this better, don't worry, I get it all the time. And you know, I sort of fell into them, by no means the best. What I do is my whole plan was basically, the reason why we sort of go hard on the socials, in 2019, there was a lot of bad press around franchising with the retail food group. So basically you had Domino's franchisees, you know, making net profit of 40K a year, you know, losing retail food group, which is like, you know, the Donut King and all this sort of stuff. And they're basically a big public enterprise. And what they essentially do is they make their profit out of the franchisees. So all these dodgy third line deals and all that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of bad press in the media about franchising. You know, and at gyms we're completely the opposite. So the whole plan was basically, let's just be real transparent and authentic about our system. Why are we hiding it behind info packs? Because the traditional marketing in franchising was give us your information and we'll send you an info pack. That's crap, you know. You should put everything about your company if you've got nothing to hide online. Let people make the assessment when they watch your YouTube videos and stuff. And that's what happens. And then come to you and then decide. And when they come into you, they should be telling you about the business or know about the business rather than learning it on the spot. So that was the whole reason behind it. And it actually started with a Facebook live stream. So I just had Jim in front of my webcam sitting next to me. And it was called Ask Jim. And we basically done around 100 episodes now. And basically anyone could come on and we answer any question, good or bad. We even had former franchisees who weren't so successful come on and they would say, you know, Jim took all my money, this and that, but we'd address the question and we'd all that sort of stuff. So the whole thing was about being transparent with our system and our content. And I don't think a lot of businesses do it enough. They always want to be really controlled. Most businesses, there's good and bad sides to it, all that sort of stuff. And that was the plan, was just to put as much honest information about franchising online. So when someone researched us, they would know us fully. And the easiest way for me to do that was to basically use Jim and just use a live video format, get my pillar content, you know, the Gary Vee thing, the pillar content, get that long stuff, and then I could do quotes and I could do all these different things from that. You know, getting Jim to do a controlled video is not easy. He's not the easiest person to film with. So just doing a live Q&A chat, which is what he's really good at. He's good at talking to a large amount of people. Was the method we used, and we you know, and the proof was in the pudding, because we have people who come to training saying, I watched your last 4 Facebook lives, or I watched all your YouTube stuff, I've watched this. So, and they will tell Jim at training, that's what made the decision to come here, was to the content that we put online. Whereas most other franchises is basically give us your details, we'll get some sales rep to then give you the call and do a hard sell. You know, and we don't believe in that at all. So it's sort of the selling by not selling approach, which is what his book used to be called. So we just put everything out there online, and I'm allowed to as well. You know, I reckon if I work, because Jim's a private company, Jim's the owner, I can say I want to do this and that's it. I don't have to go through any red tapes and get things ticked off. And then if I do make a mistake or whatever, I'll just adjust for next time. But as I said, I'm all self-taught. I'm not a marketer either at all. I did law commerce at uni. I basically just look at things that I like, or look at maybe try and find a point of difference in the market. So the point of difference with franchising was that everything was really hidden in the information that's online about these sort of businesses. Even McDonald's, right? McDonald's will tell you what's required, but they won't really show you inside their training program and stuff like that. Whereas with us, you can basically look up gyms and you'll get everything you need to know. You'll know what the experience is like before coming here. Just going through the game stuff here. So accomplishments, look, you know, I've been here for 10 years. Gyms is a notoriously hard place to work. You know, if there's a book there's a chapter in this book called The Serial Firer, and we do have a high turnover, but there's a lot of staff here who've been here for a long time, and the ones who are here a long time, you know, you have to pivot within the business and you have to keep providing value. It's not a place where you can just sit in middle management for 20 years and get a redundancy payout and go. You know, as soon as you've got no use, you'll be out the door. That's me included, and, you know, I know that, you know, very well from Jim. My skills, look, my skills, I've got 2 full-time videographers. So what basically happened is I did all the filming originally with my phone, literally, and people didn't see that, and that sort of validated the idea to Jim. And we have 2 full-time videographers and staff who are really good blokes. So if you look at this, where we started 2 years ago to now, it's a world of difference. And you know, our content's right up there in terms of video production. We're just trying to get better at making a better story and stuff, which is what we're trying to improve on. And our guys will film 1 day in the week on the road. So we'll do one different gym in Jim's division. So today we're doing a mowing guy out in Altona doing a mulching job. But we'll take that content, we'll repurpose it, and they'll get used by franchisors for sell, all that sort of stuff. And we sort of leverage that into a small business called Hendrix Media. Now, so me and the 2 boys, we sort of will do projects together occasionally when they come up on the weekend for independent people as well. You know, my goal.
Have you moved in from more of a producer then? Because initially, like you said, you were just producing those yourself. So now you've sort of more producing rather than this. You're no longer clearly having to do the filming then, yeah? No,
I don't do the filming anymore. So basically, I'll have a look at what we don't have or what we need, and I'll come up with the ideas, and then I'll basically say to the boys, I'm basically all day just in Slack, I want this, we need this, we need this, we need this. So basically, just overseeing everything now. I'll jump in. I used to jump in the content a lot to present, so we're trying to shift it up with presenters and stuff, get my face out a bit more and get more people involved. So, but that's been I think we're a little bit ahead of the game. We've got our in-house media team as a business, and in terms of what we pay the guys, like if I'm a small business and I have 10 staff, I would have one as a full-time video person. You can get them out of Swinburne Uni for very cheap. They're not full-time video peoples. It's not a really role that you see in companies now. But I think in the next 5 to 10 years, I think an in-house video sort of person is essential if you can afford it, just from the price you pay. Video is such 90% of traffic or 85% of traffic is video. You obviously need written content for websites and stuff, but I just think you can reach more people. And then basically accomplishments. Look, I've just finished my degree, so last year, whilst working here full time, which was cool. And then basically the goals, probably the next sort of 5 years, my goal is basically to be the GM or CIO of Jim's group. I've sort of had a word to Jim, and that's what I want to do in the next 5 years. If I don't get there, I'll probably end up moving on. And then a little side hustle I've started with the boys. We started doing some public clients and stuff like that, but we'll see how that develops. That's been quite a good learning experience working with other businesses outside of what I know in here and the expectations and stuff like that. So that's been pretty cool. Interest, I'm pretty much a stock standard bloke. Love me sports, so I go to as many sports as possible and play a heap of guitar as well. So
where's your footy team?
Go for the Bombers actually. So yeah, go for the Bombers. And played all guitar as well. So I used to actually be a guitar teacher before I moved up to Melbourne. So that's my job, and played in bands and stuff. So and then did the old uni to keep the mum happy, and sort of accidental head of marketing and social and stuff now in gym. So my one's probably skill is adaptability, and probably the other one is probably resilience. So I work in franchising. We have around 300 franchisors. If you're not familiar with franchising, there's things called master franchisees, and they can be pretty difficult to deal with. So I've got to deal with around 300 difficult probably people in a weekly basis. So adaptability and being resilient, just to sort of keep going with your goals and what you want to do, which is best for the business, and also within a company or within an environment. I didn't start off doing this role. It's just a matter of showing initiative and using initiative to then create things and make the business better. So that's probably my really only skills in that regard.
I reckon I'm sure others are going to have heaps of questions here, but I'm going to far away because that's just awesome. Your journey is incredible, mate. Like 10 years ago, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So to actually start the way you have and to be doing what you're doing now is just phenomenal. It's like, firstly, great job, fantastic. What I wonder, because it sounds like, and you've sort of said it a couple of times, gym's not that easy. So clearly you've worked out how to almost manage the manager, around how do you best, because those sort of people often don't necessarily get the best out of you, right? So if you're feeling like, oh, hang on, this guy's, I've got to do right here. So firstly, managing Jim's expectations maybe for you or of you. It sounds like you've given him some of that. So dealing with Jim, but then also you've said, so how do you find, I know you do a bit of work around sort of mental health and that sort of stuff too, I think. So, but maybe that comes into it. But how do you find that you keep your level of stress down when you're dealing with people that may have maybe given you stress? Maybe that's the best way to put it. How do you keep yourself, calm, I guess, and
I used to get worked up about it a lot, but you just realize it's not personal. They've probably got other things in their life going on. It's not a reflection on you ever. I think once you understand people are people, they could have a bad day with a girlfriend, a partner, whatever it is. I think not taking it personally. I meditate a lot. Everyone says they meditate, but I actually do it every day. I've got the Calm app or the Headspace app and do 10 minutes a day, which helps. But I think listening a lot more too. I know I've rambled on talking a lot, but I think I'm with people, just listen, probe a lot, ask a lot of questions. I found with my podcast, I just like listening to people and actively listening to them and then pulling on threads and stuff that they say, and it can take you down a different direction. But that's really what I do in that regard.
And maybe on that, because as you said, there's probably a different, 5 years from now in terms of, what Joel might be doing and your role. Clearly, I'm assuming he'd have to be looking after you now. But in terms of that, where you are, the listener almost, and you're trying to facilitate the Ask Jim type stuff. Do you see sort of moving more towards the fact where it may well be Ask Joel?
No, definitely not. Jim's even in this business, Jim's the star, and and that's the way it's got to be. And I think Jim's brand or Jim's story is such a good Australian. Everyone loves the story and brand, and and we're so lucky with our brand to have that. We've never really. Well, recently we obviously have, but before that, no one's really taken ownership and really tried to push the brand or the story. So that's what we've done now. But I don't. Definitely not. I'm an accidental. In any role I've done, I've just sort of been given a task to do, and I just try and do it my best, and that's really it. But I forgot to mention, Jim's actually probably got mild Asperger's, so that's that sort of and he admits it himself. So he's never been formally diagnosed, but that's sort of when you understand people with that condition, it's a bit easier to sort of work with them.
Yeah. I mean, I watched a video the other day. It was a day in the life, right, that you recorded.
Yeah.
And, you'd go on there very early, and it really is a. I mean, clearly he must have very high level in trust in you in the first place, and the relationship that you guys must have must be. It's a very trusting relationship, clearly, right?
Oh, no one could have externally come in and do it. That's why it's funny, when I think 2 years ago someone wanted to start up Jim's social media and they said, I'm going to do this and this and this. It just it just never worked. You just have to have trust with. I guess that's the same with you guys. If you've got a small business owner you work with for a while, and you can't just go and gung ho and trying to get him to get out, not comfortable. You got to build that relationship and stuff. And because he's comfortable with me, it's a lot easier to do stuff than what would be ever done externally. So. Yeah,
because he's mid-60s now, is that right? Or getting towards mid-60s?
69. Yeah,
69.
Now.
So that's why I'm sure that's easy. If you, I don't know, has anybody else seen that video, that day in the life of? No? I'm sure it'd be easier to find, would it, Joel? It just
punch in Jim Penman Day in the Life. It should come up on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely have a watch because I hope that at age 69, well, I don't know. There's an element of you have to be a certain type of person to be wanting to do that at 69, I think. But he is incredibly, even I can see there's probably, would you see that there's things that because of how he is that you then, because I think he was also about very sort of, the way his day was set up and
it's extremely structured.
Yeah.
Doesn't miss exercise in the morning. Has the same thing every day. Weighs himself. If he's half a kilo over, he'll not eat for the next thing. He's very fanatical at his weight. He's right into how can I live longer, that sort of stuff, because he loves his research, so he wants to stay around to see that sort of follow through. So very fanatical about it.
I'm going to let others ask a question, but I'm going to ask one more because one of the things that, as you're saying, as far as franchises particularly go, franchise groups, often they lose sight of the initial customer was the person that wanted their lawn mowed, right? So in terms of the journey, you've been there way long enough, but how's the blend between the first client is the person that wants the service, the gyms, whatever it is, right? The second client is the one that wants to buy in and become a franchise partner. How have, in terms of your exposure to that over a decade, why is the formula Jim used such a winning formula, perhaps?
Well, I think he will tell, from whatever we do, the franchisee in his mind will always come first. So it's a reverse pyramid. He's big on service. He's massive into his religion stuff. So he's massive on serving his franchisees first. And it's not just something he says. He really does mean it. Every franchisee's got his mobile number and email, anything. And that's why it's national staff. We're always held accountable. If we do something wrong, when a franchisee can just email Jim and say, we've done this, and then Jim will come out and say, what's this? So there's a high standard of accountability. But his franchisees are first in his mantra. He quite often says the customer's not right. So what people don't realise from the outside in is that he actually deals with customer complaints personally. So any complaint that gets escalated, it actually goes to Jim direct. So I don't think everyone says, oh, why do you do that? Because I think it's a low-level job, but he thinks it's the high-level job. If you look at the trend line of our complaints over the years, they're slowly declining, yet our unserviced work, the work we can't do, is increasing. So the demand for our services is increasing, our complaints are coming down. So there's a direct correlation. So Jim does those sort of things as well. He's actually walking behind me there. You can see him there. He'll probably come over, but we'll see what happens.
So in that context, guys, just so you know, you are more important in Dify Social than the small business client. Just so you know, right? Using that in the same context, and I would say that makes a lot of sense to me. That you guys would be more important in the first instance than necessarily the small business person that has the inquiry or the interest. Would that be a fair assessment, Joel?
Absolutely, and then it's my push national stuff, but we're sort of the bottom of the rung, I guess, in a way. But the franchisees are number one, and obviously the customers. We have a really strict really strict survey system. Like it's insanely strict internal system rating of our franchisees, and we have people lose their franchises because they get too many complaints. And it happens all the time. So we obviously have those internal control measures, but franchisee will always be a priority in everything we do.
That's awesome. Anybody else got some? Sorry for monopolising that. Any questions from you guys? Someone must have an intelligent question. Come on.
When you take on a person to own like a franchise, do you ever worry about them and they're going, oh, okay, I've sort of got the hang of this now. I reckon I can run my own sort of.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is there like a relatively low sort of turnover for you guys? Do you guys have like a relatively high sort of?
Oh no, it all depends on the division. It's a good question. So some divisions like test and tag average lifespan of a franchisee might be 8 years, whereas mowing or cleaning might be 2 years, 2.5. We view it as if they can go on and do bigger and better things by themselves, then we welcome it. We don't enforce restraint of trade. We're the only ones who don't, because we want them to have a good opinion. Oh yeah, Jim's was great for me. And if they're successful, then they're successful. That means they're going to refer us to other people. We view it as a really good start in business. We hope they're here for 10, 20 years, and we have a lot of people who stay for that long. Recent times, we don't enforce restraint of trade because you will never win at court, and we don't want to leave on bad terms this time. If you try and pursue someone legally for restraint of trade, all they can do is bag you out. So we let them go and hope they've got a good experience. But it's tough in the marketplace, and a lot of them actually end up coming back. So we have a lady employed full-time who calls Finnish franchisees and just says, how are you going? And we're probably getting one franchisee back a week because they're actually finding it's tough out there. The gym's leads are actually a lot better than what they can get in the public, and they'll come back. Regards to systems to keep them longer, we're trying to make better apps. We've actually finally allowed them to have Facebook pages branded as gyms, whereas previously we didn't, under the control of the division. So we're trying to make the system more sticky. Whereas in the past, we actually allowed them to have an independently branded Facebook page and website and stuff. And what they used to do is they'd build up this asset as a private business, and after 2 to 3 years, they'd build that up enough, and then they would just walk across. Whereas we've recently just banned that now, because we're just trying to make it more sticky and keep them in the system. And our net growth over the last probably year, we've had our best year ever. It's probably 4,200 franchisees, and we've always sat around 3,900. So it's sort of slowly working, but it's a good question. But yeah, we're a bit different. We don't enforce restraint of trade. We don't pursue people. We want them to have, if they're with gyms for 1 year and they go and keep being successful in mowing and garden business, then fantastic. Because every time someone's asking about their experience, they're going to give us a referral or give us a positive review. So
that's good. And I've actually got a gyms in my BNI chapter. I've got a gym.
What division?
I've got
building
a
inspection.
Inspector.
Yeah.
So in terms of, does he need to come through you first to get like graphics, get like the about section?
So building inspections have a pretty good setup. Their guys are all allowed Instagram and Facebook pages set up as territories, and they've got pretty strong branding. So generally, most division is different. So divisions will allow certain things. So some divisions won't allow their franchisees to have a Facebook page, even though they can. Whereas some, like building inspections, for example, can. So know that they would just go via what they call their regional franchisor. And the regional franchisor would have all those sort of things set up.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much. I'm just getting a little bit mindful of time, but can you stick around for a little bit longer, Joel, while we just and we might just do our little intros, or do you need to split?
Sure. That's fine. I can hang around for a bit. Yeah, no problem.
That would be awesome, and that way we can let you know. The guys could just intro where they are, and as you said, that's a good point. Great questions, Ben. I knew you'd ask someone would come up with a really good question, and also the idea of we do actually have gyms in a number of BNI chapters, which is a really good point as well. So awesome stuff.
Yeah, we actually teach it in training. So we have a local area marketing thing, and the guy who actually takes us as a building inspector into BNI. So we do recommend to some divisions to do it. So we have a fair few in it.
Yeah, and as you said, there's so many different groups now in terms of I've had conveyancers often in my one. Probably haven't let a lot of the mowing one actually said. It's more the inspections, the conveyancers. I'm trying to think. Bookkeeping sometimes you'll have in there as well.
More the professional, more the ones with the leads are a bit harder. So we're a bit lucky. Like we've had 240,000 unserviced leads in 2020, and that was an increase on 50,000 from the year before. That's jobs we can't do. So we're sort of a bit lucky at the moment with leads. It's not an overly big problem. Our problem is franchise inquiries.
Yeah, well, it's It's really good, and as I said, it really helps us. I think, in actual fact, knowing 4,200 franchisors around the country, we're bound to come across a few of them. It's fair to say. It's amazing. Awesome. Thanks so much, Joel, for that. It's my wife. This week, guys, sorry to spring this on you, and some of you may not have even had a look at it. And in fact, I haven't even got it on that. But I was going to ask whether or not you'd had the opportunity to look at your IMA colour. Do you remember seeing that? Anybody? I think Ben has, I'm hoping. If you haven't, we're going to guess what your IMA colour might be. so we'll go with that. So good morning, everybody. My name's Steve Hubbard, and I'm your Marketing Masters graduate from Monash University and your Dify social media marketer here in Footscray, Melbourne. I'm originally from Perth, but I've been here for more than a decade, and my IMA colour is a high yellow, which means I'm kind of assertive, but at the same time, I'm very relational. So, yeah. So that probably doesn't tell you guys anything you might not have guessed. My wins for the week, particularly, we've got a new business coming on that Anthony and I spoke to last week, which is basically a reverse Google. So it's an ID for me, which is going to be really interesting. So really looking forward to that. That was actually a web inquiry, which was really good. Although he did say he'd seen us somewhere or other. So that was great. And so this week I'd love an introduction to your software, online app type businesses. Once again, I'm Steve from Dify Social. And over to you, Adrian.
Thanks, Steve. I am a marketing graduate from VU, and I am your Dify social media marketer here in Footscray, where I have lived for a few months now. My IMA colour is a high green, so I think you guessed that correct, Steve. So my wins for the week would be doing my presentation, but also I met with Jeff, a client of mine at Sardi Cafe, so I was able to try out their food, so it was really good. I'm sure, Anthony, you'll get there soon. I would really like to work with and for businesses in the trade industry. So I'm looking to connect with window cleaners this week. So up next is Anthony.
Yeah, g'day, I'm Anthony. I'm a marketing graduate from La Trobe University, and I'm your Dify social media marketer here in Epping, where I've lived, worked and played for the last 5 years, and I'm originally from country Victoria. My wins for the week was that consult with Steve for the ID for me, and setting that up tomorrow. Yeah, that was good. My IMA colour was a high green, like you, Adrian, and yeah, that's sort of like everything's got to be like methodical, I think it said, and like you'll take your time with everything, and until you get it right. You like things just to. I think that's what I said. Anyway, I'd like to really work with and for businesses in the hospitality industry. So get to know those business owners. Up next is Emily.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emily. I am a marketing graduate from Rutgers University. I am also studying at Griffith. I am your Dify social media marketer here in Holland Park, Queensland, where I've lived, worked, and played for just over a year. I'm originally from New Jersey. My IMA color was also high yellow, Steve. I actually was expecting it to be more like green, so I was a little bit surprised, but interesting. My wins for the week were that I had one-to-one with one of my BNI members, and we've set up tentatively an audit and consult for this week, so that's exciting. My work with and for, I tried to work with Melissa from Coin last week, and we had a bit of a misunderstanding. So this week I'd really like to get in with her to really plan it out. So that's that. All right, up next is Hannah.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a marketing graduate from QT, and I'm your Dify social media marketer here in Brisbane, Queensland, where I've lived, worked and played for 8 years. My IMA colour was also yellow, even though I thought I might have been more blue, but yeah, I was yellow as well, Steve and Emily. My win for the week was definitely my presentation. I didn't even need to look at my notes, so I thought that was really good. My client learning or support would be Wendy. Steve, I'm sure you saw that this morning. More that I think from that Wendy, unfortunately, isn't seeing the results that she wanted, not from a social media perspective, but from a conversion to sales. But I think that's based on maybe a more business plan or how you structure your business online. So yeah, making sure that the clients that you work with, sort of like we always say, do have that good business plan. And
I haven't seen anything yet, so you
sorry,
I haven't
sort
looked,
of told
so I'll
you.
look at it later.
Okay. And I would really like to work with and for businesses in the I'm going to go with fashions industry or fashions industry. So this week I'm looking to connect with any small business, retail, small business. Next up is Ben.
Good morning, everyone. I'm your marketing, advertising, and PR graduate from ECU. I am your Dify social media marketer here in Perth, Wanneroo, where I've lived for the past 14 years. My IMA color was unsurprisingly high yellow as well. As I said to Steve when he asked me about it, I told him I could sell ice to an Eskimo if I felt like it. My wins for the week. Denise was, or client learnings. I guess, like Denise, given a slight testimonial in my BNI chapter was nice. Educating Denise on the fact that though she posted a video, I was like, hey, please post it on your channels as well, because I can't do that for you. I need you to do the personal stuff if you want to upload it, the stories, if you want to upload any sort of personal things that you're getting around, sort of throwing the receipts in the air. I was like, that's great. Can you please post on your socials? So that was good. I really like to work with and for, I'm going to stick with it, businesses like Wayne and Denise who actively want to be social on social media rather than businesses who I have to pull teeth to try and get information out of.
Cool. Rightio. You can't pick on Joel here, Adrian, but everybody else is fair game.
Does that include you, Steve?
Yeah, I always write notes. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's probably going to be too easy to ask you though. So let's go with Anthony. What was Hannah's IMA color?
It was yellow, but she thought it was going to be blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. I think we got all yellows and green here. So let's go with Hannah. What was Emily's sort of win for the week client learning?
Her client learning was about Melissa and coin. Is that correct, Emily? Or was that one part of it?
Yeah, that was part of it. You're right.
What's the name of it's a real estate company that's got the audit and consult, right? That's
Yes, Stella.
Oh, that's right.
That'll be good.
Yeah. Oh, also we have a Jim's Electric in our chapter, by the way.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, and let's go Ben, who is Anthony looking to connect with?
Cafe owners.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
All right.
Okay, let's move on to do the stretch now.
I reckon we could do, yeah. So, should we do happy snap first, then stretch, or stretch then happy snap? I'm never quite sure. Joel, you want to do a bit of a stretch? You've already done your mindfulness, but Emily, you going to give us a stretch? You're on mute, Emily.
Yeah, no. I know it's coming, and I'm always unprepared. So, I'm really short today. Yeah, okay. Let's just do something a classic.
Yeah, classic. That's right. And left.
I actually skipped the gym this morning because I'm so sore. So.
You didn't even compete on the weekend. So Emily does a bit of weightlifting, Joel, so she can often be a bit sore after weekends.
Yeah,
Anthony,
I didn't do anything exciting. I just am sore.
I don't know what the universal symbol is for Jim, other than having a beard, maybe. But I'm not sure. What should we do this morning? We just take a happy snap for us. Anthony, you happy to be in a happy snap, Joel?
Yeah, he's happy. All right.
I'm just going to give a thumbs up because
I was going to say, if it's going to be happy, we'll give it a nice thumbs up.
Yeah, let's just do that.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. I think that was. I'm unreal with this.
You're getting good, actually. You take a very good snapshot. We do it every week, Joel, and he does a very good job. Now, look, we're going to take a break, Joel. Thanks so much again for coming. We're going to do a little bit of sort of training discussion after it. So you probably, from everybody off mic, thanks so much, Joel. We really do appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks, Joel.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
And we don't say this to everybody, but you were our best guest so far.
Oh, look, I'm an accidental this, so you probably know a lot more about social than me, but I'll just say, have a look at what we do. You know, if you work with, it's I don't know, just I'm going to ramble here a bit, but with social media, I'm a massive component of it. You know, I think it's the cheapest place to get awareness for any brand. So the cheapest place to advertise attention. So.
Well, it's probably another discussion, Joel, but really with that side, clearly what we often have, particularly around video, with clients sort of saying, well, we've done the video, we've done the book or whatever. It's great. Okay, where is it on the website? And now we'll go and share it, right? So if you see opportunities for us to sort of let people know of you, then let us know, right? So that's one thing. So clearly with that Hendrix Media side of things. And then, so anyway, you think we might be able to help along those lines, just let us know.
Sure, no worries. So you guys do Facebook marketing for is that like lead gen sort of stuff, or? So
Facebook ads for most of our clients is to get the very optimal spend on their money, right? So when they're coming in with us, most of them are spending either $242 a month or $374 a month just for our time to post either daily or every second day, right? And report monthly or every second month. We encourage them strongly to spend $5 a day on advertising. So if they've got a video, Adrian's got one out at the moment with a mining company, right? A software, and some of them go like the clappers, right? When it is, as you said, it's a really good way to promote. I think all of us probably have a client that's using video, I would suggest, right? But we then spend that $5 usually to run one of 3 different types of campaigns. We're either doing awareness, engagement, or click-through traffic, right? So, and often we're doing them all at the same time. So we'd rather do $2.50 plus $2.50 than pour it all into awareness, for instance. But not like a digital agency. At the end of the day, for us, it's the thing that gives your Facebook and your Instagram the legs, right, to get the visibility. So no ads and only doing the marketing post doesn't work. Just doing advertising but no post doesn't work either, right? So realistically, we combine the two and we suggest a minimum spend of $5 a day to get the real advantage of that, right? So we do. So if people come to us and say, we want to spend $2,000 on advertising, often we'll say, we're probably not the ones for you, right? Because it's a different type of business model. Our model is to give the rest of your marketing, visibility, realistically. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So when you're doing those sort of videos, particularly for those probably non-gym clients, realistically, there's an opportunity. But there may well even be opportunities. We deal with every franchise partner for us is just an independent business owner, right? So we work with a number of your Mortgage Choices and who else have we got? Snap Prints and those sort of ones that we've done in the past. So realistically, our business is a business. Our goal is to just make sure they're competitive in their local area. Realistically.
All right, so I'll keep you guys in mind when I ever get any questions and the social media stuff. Our guys, at franchisors, if you're ever going to approach them, they're more interested. Probably they've got to sell franchises, so their campaigns are more generating franchise inquiry leads.
Of course, yeah. So, and we don't. Yeah, I'm very cautious around that sort of leads language. We do create it through the Facebook advertising, but we're very much a relationship first, sales second. So it's almost the long tail and your short tail. But yeah, we get it.
Cool. No worries. All right, thanks, Amy, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks heaps.
Thank you.
See you, Joel.
Bye.
See ya.
Rightio. And do we want to take a quick break?
I am going to go
Yep.
get a cup of coffee.
Just quick one, yeah.